Welcome, friends. We will commence our proceedings. Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimadananda Tirtha Bhagavat Padacharyobhyo Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Niyati Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparitam Adiprabhudan Vadan Rasakritavan Bhuvitatvavadam Sarvesvaro Haririti Pratipatakam Tam Manandatirthamunivaryam Namami Ujjaya Rahavendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Pajatam Kalpavrakshaya Namatam Kamadenive Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhuraktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvina Vadidamastu Ma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome, friends. We are immediately after the Guru Purnima we had yesterday. It was one of the auspicious occasion. It is also called Vyasa Purnima. Vyasa Purnima is denoting, basically, it is supposed to be the birthday of Saint Vyasa. As we know, Vyasa has not come out, in the normal, the human way. He has come in the most esoteric circumstances, in which he was, to a fisherwoman, he was born on the Ganges, it is a separate story as it is. It is the most mystical story, and he is supposed to have come, because that's why, it's a lineage, we have to know. That is what, because the Vyasa Purnima is being called. It is also called Guru Purnima. He is the Guru to everyone. He has given us all the 18 great, because the books he has written. He has written not only Mahabharata, he has written all other scriptures, Shiva Purana, Vishnu Purana, and all 18 Puranas. All the 18 Puranas have been authored by him. In that, he has covered the whole Upapuranas also. A lot of Upapuranas are there. In one of the Puranas called Narasimha Purana, it has talked about the current Yuga of the Kalki Yuga as to how the Kalki Yuga will be there and all. It is a sort of a not only prediction, it is how the entire cosmos, universe is likely to undergo the change. It is some sort of Einsteinian vision. In several Einsteinian vision combined together, what could have been given, that is what he has given in all the Puranas. If you happen to have gone to Badrinath, near Badrinath, there is a Vyasa Guha is there. When you go near the Vyasa Guha, I think it is supposed to have been there, he has written all the 17 Puranas. When he has written all the 17 Puranas, he was not satisfied, because people were still vying for all the worldly ambitions, they were trying for one another, they are getting on one another. They were not able to live harmoniously. He was wondering what is happening, because despite the fact that we have brought entire scriptures, and he has divided, all the Vedas into four, and he has written all the Puranas, he has given everything. He is supposed to have been the incarnation of Vishnu himself. That's why he is called Krishna Dvaipayana. So when having done that, when he was in some sort of a dissatisfied mode, and then Narada is supposed to have come, you have to still to write one more, which is writing, your the wisdom, has to be brought to the whole world. That is why then he left that place, that Vyasa Guha, which is there. If you go, there is one particular word that is written as Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam, like, what we say in Gayatri, because Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tat Savithu Varenyam Pargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodhyayat, because we are only seeking, because you are only a seeker, because it has to be given when you are totally, because eligible to get it. And to increase your eligibility, we are doing all this Adhyatma and all. When we are living in this world also, we are doing for that purpose only. But only thing is that we are forgetting, when we are indulging into the worldly affairs, as the worldly affairs takes us, because of its own complexities, as we get into more worldly affairs, it takes you further into that, and you are not able to get back. But despite that, if you are able to have a mindset, which we talked about, because 2-3 weeks before, if you develop a mindset, because by which, you are able to identify everything, because the object, and you deal with it accordingly, don't get, submitting yourself to the entire object as it is. Because every object, takes away your interest by taking Sabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha. All these sensibilities, which is behind the objects, that take away that. And apart from that, in the living is not a easy thing in the modern world. Even though earlier also it was not so easy thing, but then people were content with whatever they could because they couldn't get across to so many resources to be exploited as we have got now. Now we can get so many things, because we can waste the food and we can get it, and if we don't like it, we can throw it and all. But it was not so. They have to live with the nature, whatever nature could offer. They have to get that, they have to live with that only. So that was the moment, because they could live happily because nothing was about to take it down. So in this context, when we come to that, that is why, he went out of that Vyasa Guha, he went to the river Saraswati, because if you go further, that Mana village is there, because it's supposed to be earlier it used to be called the last village. Now, of course, the present government has called it the first village of the India. And this is just after the Chinese border is there. There the Saraswati river flows. That is the only place where you can see the Saraswati River. Otherwise, it is a mythological river all through. Because you will not be able to see its course, even because as if it comes down, even the Sangam, it's only considered to be mythological. But it has been established, it has flown through Rajasthan also earlier, and it has also gone and it has had a confluence in the sea also. It was there. That's what satellite images are telling. But then, because it's not visible to us. Saraswati River was not visible to us, because in the Saraswati River, in the banks of the Saraswati River only, because all these great saints have lived, and perhaps, because it's not visible because perhaps we have lost our, ability to see it, with our inner eye. That's what it has happened. So there he went there and he wrote the final epic. He has to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was written on the banks of the Saraswati River, and there he almost covered, because the entire whatever he has talked about in all the Puranas and whatever the gist of Vedas are there, everything was covered in that. That's why in the Bhagavatam is considered, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be one of the crowning glory of the scriptures, because it gives you everything. It is gives everything, whatever couldn't be described, whatever you find little, very complex, one is not able to understand. All those things can be clarified in that. But then Srimad Bhagavatam itself is a very big sort of a epic, because it has happened. It's not something it has been written and he has just transcribed it, what the sage Shuka was telling, the Parikshit, when he was about to leave the world in last 7 days, because of the particular, he had a curse, because of which, he had to leave the world. At that point of time, he didn't bother about, because getting himself cured and still to run and all. He left everything and he just handed over this kingdom and he was just listening, because whatever he has to get, the 7 days is the period. Because when you are given, constraints, you try to do very well. So when we didn't have so much of a big computer with so much of storage, we were all having a limited amount of data. We had a control over that. Now you have got unlimited data. You don't have any control. You are getting dissipated every time and all. Now you get into all those things. In the 7 days, when you have to sort of know the entire wisdom, he submitted himself. He just was listening totally into that. That's why, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavata Saptaham, they say 7 days it is recited everywhere in Naimisharanya or anywhere else. I think it is considered to be a great occasion to know the knowledge and all. So the Bhagavatam is supposed to be the superset of all these scriptures. That is what has been considered, and even the people say if Bhagavad Gita, if you read it, it is like a post graduation. If you want a doctorate, you'll have to do the Bhagavatam. That's what they say in colloquial terms. So, of course, every scripture has brought in everything and all. If you are able to understand even one scripture, that is good enough. But the mankind, since you are getting your experiences every time and all, your doubts continuously arise. You want to find out which is the correct knowledge. When you want to validate the knowledge every time, for that purpose of validation only it happened. Since Srimad Bhagavatam, the highest one was given, because it was also supposed to have commenced, yesterday that, Vyasa Purnima, it is there. There are, of course, a lot of controversies, irrespective of the fact, because it's considered to be the Vyasa Purnima and the Guru Purnima. So we are offering all our obeisance as well as our sort of prayers to all the Gurus, Jagat Gurus, whoever has come. And any part of the world, because everywhere, even in Greece, they have come everywhere, there is no sort of a race or there is no continent involved. The great masters have come all through the entire continent. All of them have come. So as Rigveda says, Satyam, because Ekam Satya Vipra Bhuta Vadanti, because everyone has brought out in their own way. So we will have to sort of take all our masters into account, including those who have taught us from our primary school onwards, and then through our high school, as well as and then a lot of we are also reading a lot of books, and we are also getting to know the knowledge from various people. So we will have to give our obeisance to them. That is, and finally everything goes to the sage Vyasa, and through him, to the ultimate Brahman. That is the concept. So with this Vyasa, on this auspicious Parva, we have come about. We are just going through the fundamentals, what have been brought about in the scriptures. In Kathopanishad, we are going through that salient aspect, and that too the important aspects what we are going through now on. So we have seen in our life rests on our, because our whatever actions we have done and all. Our actions, we call it karma. We give the name as karma. Karma is not jumping, it's not a pejorative word, it is a karayati karma, because someone has to come into this world, you will have to act. As Chinmayananda ji says, because whenever you come into the world, whether you are a saint or a sinner or whoever you may be, you will have to act till your last breath, because that is, no other way. But if you understand, the world, you will be able to master over the world, live comfortably, and see the wonder of the world. You will be able to enjoy the wonder of the world, and as well, because you will not get subjugated into the worldly affairs. You can come out clean. That is what the purpose of this is. When they say, because how you can do by getting the knowledge. Knowledge is not that someone, you will something, you will have to get and accumulate. You will have to give up a lot of your false understanding, the faulty understanding. That is everyday affair. So giving up, neti, what we call in our scriptures. Apart from that, avidya, what we call it, we have not that we don't have a knowledge, but we have got a misplaced, mistaken knowledge. That has to be taken out. In the sense, because mistaken knowledge in the sense, every day, what we say, the practical way, the smart way we are operating in this world, we think, because that is the best. But as you mature, I think you will be able to go a little further. You will always not be, you are, because working, towards the smartest way. What is the smartest way? Getting yourself affected, getting yourself protected, firewalled yourself, and getting your comfort not compromised. You are going through that, and that is a smart way. But if you are getting, because look, I went there, I couldn't get the ticket, there was a lot of queue, someone says, no, 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 why did you do that? So there is another smart way, you contact this man, that man, you will get it. Because perhaps, because we might do once or twice, because finally we will get it. What is that, by doing that? So what, by doing that, we don't understand, or we don't recognize at that point of time, we have deprived so many other people who have a more genuine interest than us. We have just precluded from them getting, what is their due. Well, I think you cannot be always, giving and all. You go by the normal way, and if there is a tatkal, you do it, or if there is a proper way, you do it. But the smarter way, what we call the practical way, it is our own misunderstanding. But when you understand everything, and when you are able to do everything in such a way, so then you are able to do everything perfectly as it is without affecting anything. In that process, others get it or not, but you are trying to do it so that there is no undue harm to others, undue sort of a discomfort to others. There is no adverse effect on others. That's what, you can take minimum extent, you can do that. The best thing is you do whatever is in front of you, work on that, try to do that way. Don't go out of the way to get it. So trying to get out of the shortcut, because even if you want to get the approval for a building, or if you want approval for something and all, even nowadays, if you want to go by the proper way, you will not be able to get. That's a fact of life. Because that is the miracles of the democracy, what we have created, because we have created the system. Because I am reminded of one small, smart answer given by one of our prime ministers. I think we had a prime minister called P.V. Narasimha Rao. In fact, he created such a wonderful change, during his time, economy-wise. And of course, there are a lot of, unwanted things also happened at that point of time. So when he went to Singapore, the Singapore is a very strict country with the laws and all. He said, because you saying, you are telling you are democracy, you've got great leaders and all, but In those days, every day one scam was coming out in the paper. Today, this scam, Chara Gotala, that Gotala, this Gotala, and that. I'm saying, what is this? Because how you people, manage to get politicians and this type of scams also. That Lee Kuan Yew, he asked Narasimha Rao in his own candid way, is a scholar, of course. He knows how to answer those things. He said, these are all miracles of democracy. He said, because when you have a democracy, you can't help. These things, is bound to happen. If you say democracy, it's not, perfect flow of Ganges or Yamuna. It will have to have its own, because bad waters also. Because this is what he gave a very he didn't want to explain, because all that, but he gave a very subtle answer, because that is what happens. How it happens is, because there are so many people, if you see so many leaders, whose name is not known, they've all done a lot of good work. They have, if you go to any state, you ask them, because in whose period your state has flourished. Some of the ministers or chief minister, you might not have even be remembering his name. They might have done it. Because that all happens, because they have got elevated themselves to that level and they were able to do that. But when you are living, it happens. Of course, we may be doing it in the next birth, because after all, that's what we will say. We take the sort of alibi always, if not in this birth, next birth I will do. It's not that you can go on doing birth after birth. That's why, because the Abrahamic religion, they don't have any concept of rebirth. Whatever you have to be in this birth. If you want to be a good man, you will have to be in this birth. Otherwise, you will be condemned forever. Either you go to the kingdom of God or you're condemned forever, because so that in every person, at least at some point of time, for instance, Nobel Prize, because even when he was amassing wealth, because of the dynamite and all those things, there was so much of a bad press for him. Because of him, so many deaths were taking place, and he was trying to induce so many wars, this and that, and all. Finally, to assuage, as an atonement, he established the Nobel Prize. Of course, today Nobel Prize has got a value which nothing else has got a value. Because finally, of course, and there is an occasion for him, he did it. It's not necessary everyone has to do it. And of course, now it has proliferated and it is giving the entire humanity, they are getting the benefit of, all these prizes. And a lot of innovations are coming and inventions are coming, discoveries are coming. All these things would not have come, because of course they would have come in their own way. But the price has enabled, the triggered, it has brought about it. It is like that, it may happen. All of us might have heard, some experience, we might have thought this is the best way to live. But every day as we are learning, there is a better way to live every day. So there is always every day will be a better, because that's what it says, because it's not only your experience, that is, not only your karma, your knowledge makes your karma more refined. As to refine, because that's what we have said, because in this last mantra, when he said, when someone, is Yonimanye prabhadyante shariratvat dehineha, because if your karmas are so bad, finally you may take the birth of an animal, if not, because at least you will be becoming a mineral, insentient objects. It might all become, it could be anything, because we have got 84 lakh creatures in our scriptures. It could be much more also, but then we have defined, based on the fundamental nature. So that once you are there, it's not necessary that you will have to be born as a human being again. Why it is given is so that, because being a human being, when you have got the possibility of discrimination which God has given you, the highest evolution in this 84 lakh creatures having come into this, why do you waste that? We should not waste that. We should try to utilize it as much as possible. It is for an occasion, not only see the wonder of the world, the mysteries of the world. That's what, because Einstein says, because everything was mystical to him. His father gave him a compass, because when he was just about to be about 10 years or 9 years old, till then he has only sort mechanically operated toys and all. When he got the compass, and he said, it is operating, without any inducement, because the gravity is the one, which is making it to work. It was a mystery for him. And of course, how many of us, will, because we know, it is one of the gadgets, yes, you fold it, because we are not able to make that imagination possible and thrive in that imagination, enthralled into this imagination. See, imagination is very important for the children. In fact, Einstein says it's not the education that is important, it is the imagination. What are all, because you have been given the God given the power of the imagination. Even in his relativity theory, also, he had imagined. It is not, it's a laboratory of thoughts, from where he has created. Subsequently, he gave the mathematical expression. For that, it took him 3 years. Though he has, 1911, he has written a letter to his friend. He has said, I have got some sort of outlandish idea, because I don't want to share it, because he was trying to get, because PhD, because he was the, most of you might be knowing, he was in the patent office of Swiss. He has to get, further one more grade above. For that, he needed a PhD. For that, he was writing, so many papers, and he sort of wrote to his close friend. So I am just forwarding this. You might find it outlandish and all, but anyway, this is what I thought. I am sharing it. And then he calls his friend, "You are a frozen shark." Because he says, he normally doesn't accept his ideas as it is. And he always come with some weird things and all. So what is this and all? Because he was not considered to be some sort of a genius, or, at that point of time, because, but afterwards, the 1911, and finally, when the mathematical form was given and finally it was published in 1915, then also I think, because people were really surprised, because it is possible, the energy could be converted into any small amount of, energy could be created from any small amount of a mass. Mass could be converted, because this is, of course, totally rather antithesis to what the Newtonian concept, we had earlier and all. But in the 1919, they were observing, because there was a phenomena when there was a earthly phenomena when there was some sort of a eclipse was there, when they were observing exactly the light was bending as he has just shown in his calculations. He became, and that day he became sort of a saint of science in 1919. Afterwards, he says, I want to give up that, I do not want to be considered as a saint, but people will not leave him, because he has proven so much. And afterwards, now it has been proven everywhere in this solid state physics, it is being shown. It is also in chip design, it is shown. It is also, because in the theoretical physics, it is shown in astrophysics also, because all his theories, because every time, someone says, his theory is about to be disproven, but so far no one has disproved it. So that is what, he says, because you should not give credit or anything to me. It is, I was given some sort of a gift of imagination, which I used it. I don't know how that imagination, like Ramanujam, he also got the imagination. How he wrote, because he said how you could write all these formulas, when you were just in the high school. He said, because I was just thinking about it, because in the sleep, I could get, all these things coming up, and morning I just jotted down. That's what he says. These things, are the mysterious experience that happens. So we should not be looking for a mystery as it is. But then, when something happens, you try to find, you don't take it as a matter of right. You try to find something, because how it could have happened. So this, see, I was thinking of meeting someone, because I was wondering, because you can't meet him, in Delhi sometimes, because he's a busy man, he's in the ministry and all. But then, I was going for some other work, somewhere, and then I happened to be waiting for someone there. One gentleman came, he was going inside, and then I was also called in. Then I could meet him, because I didn't know I will be able to meet him so soon, because he's a very senior person, and he had some work, because I had to get his opinion. That's all. But of course, I get it because this is just, I read the mystery. Otherwise, you'll have to go through the process of, getting the appointment, waiting, and you'll have to go through so many channels and all. It all just happened. It is some sort of a mystical experience only. After all, because it happened in that way, it has to happen. Maybe, because you didn't have any sort of a personal interest in that. That's why it happened. I thought like that. So likewise, a lot of mysterious experiences happen. That's also one book, Wonder of the World. There is a book called Wonder of the World. You can always see it in the, you Google it and see it. And Roy Abraham Verghese, he has written that book. This book has been published in Tennessee, USA. So this is about four masters who have lived in different period of time. It's Saint Aquinas and Madhvacharya of here, and two more saints of different ages. There is almost uh, 3 to 5 centuries difference between them. But all these people, they have expressed the idea, very common idea they have expressed. And all these ideas, and he has also put it in scientific terms. He was wondering how these people could think in different points of the time and different continent. All of them in different continent. The Saint Aquinas and Madhvacharya, and of course, the master of the one Islamic master was there. He was also there, and another Persian master. All of them have thought about that. And this way, because meditations, if you see, because Marcus Aurelius Antonin he expresses most of the Upanishadic thoughts in the 10 volumes of meditation, which is a Stoicism, because he was following the Stoicism. He was such a selfless person. As an emperor, he never kept anything for himself. He just left everything to the second century BC, before Christ. He lived there, and he was such a man, because he wanted to live up to the principle. Though he was the most, the commanding emperor of that time, the Rome. Marcus Aurelius Antoninus is 10 volumes of meditations. It has been translated. If you happen to see his quotes and this one, it's marvelous, and you will find all our thoughts are being clearly reflected in that. The Upanishadic thoughts. Coming to that, because this karma and knowledge is the one finally take us to elevate to that level where we are able to act. The 2.2.8, the mantra where it says, when the knowledge dawns, when we come to know, when we mature enough to understand, beyond the smart way of living and beyond, because of the practical way of living, finally living in us, living, because what is a glorious living, the crowning glory of living in this world, when we do it, what happens? It is in our page 112. Ya yesha supteshu jagrati kamam kamam purusham nirmimanaha. In the sense, when you are indulging into this whole world and all, the Purusha is because the one in the consciousness, what you call it in Advaita, or, because the grace, divine grace, which is been given to you, it is always, because kept awake. When it is kept awake, because you are doing everything and because you are not accessing it. So when it is kept awake, it is enabling you to do, you are doing all other act. So how am I to understand, it is kept awake? So when you are in a deep sleep, you may get, because some thoughts, you might have experienced something and all, the dream world also. In the deep sleep, you don't remember anything, because totally ignorance. It is a nescience, they say. But at the same time, they say you are closer in the lap of the God, because when you forget everything, you don't know who you are. You are not the mother to someone, or you are not the daughter to someone, the wife to someone, husband to someone. You live so blissfully that at that point of time, you do not have any thought. Because when you say emptiness, what they call it at meditation, that is absolute, ultimate emptiness. Emptiness, it's not a void, it is that you are active, your consciousness is active, but your mind has been kept slowly as a sort of a dormant stage. And because then at that point of time, you do not have any thought, because there's no question of like, dislike, or anything like that. Because that is a blissful state. If we could get that same state when we are awaking, when we are in the waking stage, you just imagine. Will it be possible? It is just not possible, because when in waking stage you will have to act, because you are acting, because you got to do so many things and all. At that point of time, because once you are able to get this type of a thought slowly, even 10% you get it, you will find, because you are doing everything, because everything is giving you happiness. Nothing is going to give you any sort of a sorrow or unhappiness. This is what it says. Yes, so yesha supteshu jagrati kamam kamam purusham nirmimana. So because what they say, the mind, because your saptasparsha ruparasa gandha, the sensations, they are the one behind the objects. Like your thought, what is the thought? Because your thought is lighted up by the consciousness, and it creates the mind. So your thought is not the mind. Your mind is not your intellect. Your intellect is still, because far ahead and all. Because it is further refined. So when these three stages are there, when your thoughts, perception, thought, mind, and intellect, when they are there, when you are able to have the discrimination and none of the thoughts go and affect it, because thoughts continuously. So you are able to regulate the thought. When the intellect works without any interference from the mind works without any interference from the thought, that is the highest stage, say. So how is it that possible? Because thoughts are coming and all. So once you are mindful, the thoughts will slowly go away. Because once you choose what you have to do, what you will try to do, when you will try to focus on that, when you are having an interest, when you are enjoying doing something, then you will be focusing. When you are doing that, then at that point of time, whatever you do, even if it is going to be having a ripple effect on someone else, that will not form into the effect of a karma because it is so pristine pure. You don't have any sort of unforeseen focus. You don't have any intended focus. Your sort of a intention and action are by and large together. Okay, they are all synchronized. That's what they say. That's what we have been repeating every time. But how is it possible? It is by focusing and as well as just working only on to that. So in that process, whatever happens, because that is okay. Because in someone gets the benefit of it, it's okay. Someone feels, it is not okay for him, because that you have done your best. That's what we can do is what we can do with our command and control within our powers at this moment. That is the best. In short and sort of a brief way, this is what we can take it. If we focus and do whatever it is there, don't think about all other things. That is all. Once it brings the focus, the rest of the thoughts, unwanted thoughts will not come. Klesha will not come. You will not try to worry about the possibilities, which will come one after the others. The possibilities will not come. You will not be having sort of unwanted thoughts. This is what it says. Kamam kamam purusham nirmamanaha. This is what every moment it happens. Why we are telling that particular thing is then when it happens, you are like in the deep sleep, you are in the nescient stage, because that is, it's not ignorance. You are active, you have got every discriminating power, but you are not working, you are working beautifully on what you are enjoying with the full focus. So that is one when you will be able to have the glimpse of what you call Brahman. Brahman in the sense how the happiness is the Brahman. Tadeva Shukram, in the sense that there is no unhappiness, the brightness, you feel some sort of tabiyat kush ho gaya. So Tadeva Shukram, Tat Brahma. Brahma in the sense, because at that point of time, because you do not find without any reason, the happiness will overtake you. As you are taking, because supposing, you like, after a full day's work and a cup of coffee, someone comes and place it on your table, you take it. At that point of time, you don't bother about it, anything, who has given, how it has come and all. You just take it and because you feel that Tad Brahma. Tadevam Amrutam Uchate, because that is the immortality, it says, because what you can experience with this senses on, in the consciousness, with this body, mind, and intellect on, that is what you can get it. Then you say Tadeva Amrutam Uchate Tasmin Loka Shita Sarve. Because the consciousness or the Paramatman or Parabrahman, in him the entire cosmos, entire universe, all the beings, everything rests on him. They are all dependent on him. Shrutaha. Shrutaha sarve tatyu atyute na kaschana. Verily there is none, because you will not be able to transcend anything. Whatever theory you have, whatever sort of principle you pronounce, you will not be able to go beyond the order that has been created by the God or whatever the ultimate power. Even the Einstein said, I mean, what God you believe? He said, I believe in the God of Spinoza, who said the God doesn't play dices. In the sense, he has created the order. He is not, because created the order, given it to you, but the order takes, nature takes its order, when it is inflicted. And the water takes its order when it is inflicted. The cosmos takes its order when it is inflicted. The universe, because the order is there. When the order is maintained, everything is happy. You have to maintain your order, maintain your balance, and work through this world. This is what has been said in this particular uh, mantra. And in fact, because the theory of rebirth has been brought about in such a beautiful way in the last three mantras, that is, once because you have got the fantastic opportunity to find the mysteries of the world and enjoy in this world with the full focus, it is for you to get and do it. And because if we are not able to realize that, because the possibilities of getting one more human birth itself is a questionable. In the sense, because it just gives you some sort of a advice, some sort of a, not a warning, advice, and a gentle advice, like because like a father will give it to the child. So try to see, because how best focus on that, and don't have unwanted thoughts. Nothing will go wrong once you have given full focus, attention within your power, with all your abilities under your command. Nothing will go wrong. This is the confidence it gives it. So if we can take this confidence, so what will happen then we will see in the next week. In the meanwhile, if you have anything, because you can just share it with me, or because we can also answer the question, and then next week, we will see, because the more important things that is likely to come, because once you have understood this, and once you are trying to live a wonderful life, understanding this, and you are not going to be unusually be bothered about the impossibilities, which you have come to you, because you are seeing so many other things which is not relevant to you, instead of focusing on what is in front of you. This is the sum and substance of this particular mantra. So next mantra onwards, because we have got another 8 more mantras, in this.